Semiconductors are ubiquitous to our daily lives, whether it's our cell phones or our laptops, whether it's our refrigerators, washing machines, or cars. All of them are being powered by semiconductors, and most of us are aware that there is a shortage of semiconductors, and this shortage in semiconductors has resulted in a scarcity in inventory for a lot of these items that we use on a day-to-day basis, and in several instances has resulted in a lot of their prices shooting up as well. For example, in the most recent earnings call on Tesla, Elon Musk said in 2022 supply chain will continue to be the fundamental limiter of output across all factories, so the chip shortage, while better than last year, is still an issue. And we've all seen and are pretty used to other newspaper articles as well of companies that are basically blaming the semiconductor shortage that has resulted in a lot of their factories potentially being shut down, due to which they have curtailed production of whatever item it is that they sell. Due to which it is important to listen to what some of these CEOs of a lot of these semiconductor operations are suggesting, particularly with respect to their output, their capacity, and also potentially when we can experience this semiconductor shortage to alleviate itself. And that is what I'll be covering off in this video. But before I get too far into it, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and let's get into it. In this video, I'll specifically be focused on the following. We'll talk about Intel, we'll talk about Taiwan Semiconductors, and we'll talk about Lam Research as well. All of these companies have released earnings already. There's several more earnings that are coming out in the next week or so as it relates to AMD and Nvidia. But the key thing to note here is, of the three that I'll be covering off in this video, they're all highlighting very similar trends, which will likely be experienced in some of the earnings calls for a lot of those other companies that will be coming out in the next couple of weeks as well. So let's start off with what Pat Gelsinger of Intel has suggested in the last earnings call. Looking across the industry, 2021 was dominated by two recurring themes: unprecedented demand and ecosystem supply constraints. The strong demand we saw throughout 2021 continued into Q4, and markets remained robust across all our businesses. We expect this trend to continue as the digitization of everything, driven by the four components of AI, pervasive connectivity, ubiquitous compute, and cloud-to-edge infrastructure, leads to an era of sustainable growth. In terms of when the company is going to be able to satisfy some of this demand for semiconductors, Pat said the following: as we predicted, these ecosystem constraints are expected to persist through 2022 and into 2023, with incremental improvements over this period. The industry will continue to see challenges in a variety of areas, including specialty and overall foundry shortages, substrates, as well as third-party silicon. The punchline of all of this is basically the following: they have acknowledged that the demand for semiconductors continues to be elevated and is going to be elevated for the foreseeable future, and they do not expect this whole demand to get satisfied from a supply perspective until 2023. Now, even companies such as Intel and AMD, they need various technologies such that they can create these semiconductors, and the provider of a lot of these technologies is a company called Lam Research, and this is what they said on this particular topic area. As we close out 2021 and enter the new year, demand for Lam products has never been higher. Yet, as we have discussed in prior quarters, the global supply chain remains severely stressed at these unprecedented output levels. So even these guys who are on the front end of this whole semiconductor industry are experiencing a lot of challenges as it relates to the supply chain. But what about the biggest chip maker of them all, or Taiwan Semiconductors, or TSMC? What did they come out and say on their earnings call? So similar to Intel, they were also very clear in communicating that demand for a lot of their products is effectively through the roof, and they are struggling to meet the needs of those demands. We are witnessing a structural increase in underlying semiconductor demand, underpinned by the industry megatrends of 5G related and HPC applications. In 2021, we spent US$30 billion to capture the strong demand and support our customers' growth. In 2022, our capital budget is expected to be between $40 and $44 billion. For the full year of 2022, we forecast the overall semiconductor market, excluding memory, to grow approximately 9%, while foundry industry growth is forecast to be close to 20%. They went on to say, as a result, we expect our capacity to remain tight throughout 2022, as we believe our technology leadership will enable TSMC to capture the strong demand of our advanced and specialty technologies. Similar to Intel, TSMC is also investing very heavily in capital expenditures such that they can meet the demand for semiconductors that is out there. Over the last 3 years, we have raised our capex spending from $14.9 billion in 2019 to $30 billion in 2021 as we invest in anticipation of the growth that will follow. As we can see, there is a common trend across all of these semiconductor manufacturers, and while there is some level of optimism that they have in the ability to meet some of the demand that is out there, the fact of the matter remains that this may not happen in 2022 and will likely resolve itself into 2023. So what are the key takeaways as it relates to a lot of these CEO perspectives? Firstly, we're experiencing continued unprecedented demand, and this is not expected to come down for the foreseeable future. Secondly, there's end-to-end supply chain issues. Demand will likely resolve itself in 2023, but with that said, until then, we can continue to experience some level of inventory-related shortages, and we can continue to experience prices of a lot of these products that utilize semiconductors to continue to go up into 2023. I hope you enjoyed the contents of this video and found it informative. If you did, smash the thumbs up button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, and I'll see you next week.